Se pare că am terminat mai devreme. Ok. Acum o să invit Matteo. Ok. Trellix e foarte important pentru noi. Cred că au fost prezenți de la prima ediție. Atunci se numeau McAfee, poate după aceea Intel Security, după aceea iar McAfee și acum Trellix. Matteo, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening. So, first, a brief introduction of myself. My name is Matteo Spiga. I'm pre-sales engineer for Trellix. Thank you. I've been part of the solution engineer team for almost 3 years now. And I'm happy to be here today. So I'm going to be presenting a brief overview of what we are doing with first machine learning and AI, of course. So, brief introduction about Trellix. With Trellix, Trellix is now the company that was created by the merge from McAfee Enterprise and FireEye, two big cybersecurity companies in the market, to focus on security operation and XDR. For who is familiar with the cloud security coming from McAfee Enterprise, we have also created our sister company, SkyEye, that is completely focused on cloud security. So we've been flooded by many marketing stuff recently about AI, but we need to ask ourselves why we need AI, why we need to leverage AI in cybersecurity. First, I want to mention our cyber threat report, the last one, where our advanced threat research team actually went through a couple of cases where cyber criminals are already leveraging AI. They can actually leverage, for example, LLMs to write malware. So even not skilled cyber criminals can write easily malware, and they can create, for example, a huge amount of phishing emails with a very high spelling accuracy in a short period of time. So you see a couple of examples, but I encourage you to actually go through our report because it's very, very interesting. Then, of course, another risk is related to data loss. So everybody, I guess, is using ChatGPT, but in companies, we actually see a lot of people using ChatGPT, for example, in a wrong way. So there is also a risk of data leakage. You see here in this slide a couple of examples. I bet you went through this couple of examples here. And of course, from the security operation perspective, we interviewed CISO around the world, and there are many challenges nowadays. So there are too many events to monitor. The attack surface is growing, and security operations are not really keep up with these new challenges. So we need advanced technology to actually help security operation teams to also look at low-level alerts, because sometimes low-level alerts are the starting point of a more larger attack. So I like this statement, and with the use of artificial intelligence also from the cyber criminals, this statement is even true. But using AI, with the help of the AI, actually, defenders, us, can speed up investigation, and we only need to actually detect one of the indicators of the compromise to actually start investigating. And here, AI could help a lot. So, as I said at the beginning, everybody now is talking about AI. But I want to mention that AI is a bigger term where we actually have also machine learning, so we don't have to forget machine learning. And in Trellix, in our product, we use a lot of machine learnings. Let's start with the most important part of machine learning. So we need actionable data. So we need actually data. We need to transform this data in something that we can use in the models. So we have our researchers that are focused on the what to look for. We have our data scientists that are focused on how to translate what researchers find in the techniques used by the threat actors in workable models. And of course, we have been doing this for many, many years. Now I will go through, let's say, the XDR platform, because we like to call it XDR platform, where we have all the products that are leveraging machine learning and AI. Starting from endpoint security, our endpoint protection platform, we call it ENS. We have actually 3 machine learning engines on board, and one of them is Machine Learning Protect, that is focused on behavior analysis, that look for malicious patterns on processes, for example, to actually understand if there is, for example, a 0-day. Then we have NDR. NDR stands for Network Detection and Response. So we used to just work with firewalls, with IPS. So now we have to expand the network security. So we need also to actually start to detect something that doesn't look malicious, but is actually the starting point of an attack. We use machine learning in our NDR platform for beaconing detection, data exfiltration detection, and for domain generation algorithmic detection. That is actually DGA is one of the techniques that cyber criminals use to actually create more command and control connection. Then, of course, we need to leverage AI, and we need to also control and monitor the usage of AI, for example, generative AI in data security. And we are focused on data security on endpoint and networks, but with our sister company, SkyEye, actually, we can expand the monitor and detection of data leakage also to the cloud. Last but not least, collaboration security. So collaboration security is the new term for all the products that business are using now to collaborate. We were used to just email. Now, of course, you know, we are using Teams, we are using Slack, we are using a lot of collaboration tools. So we need to actually monitor and detect attacks that are going through different vectors, not only mail, but also collaboration tools. And we do that with different machine learning features, starting from advanced URL defense and with the sandboxing. And of course, we integrate everything with third-party integration. Threat intelligence, the most important part of the architecture. And we have on the top the XDR engine that we call it Helix Connect, where we actually leverage generative AI and AI to help security analysts to speed up investigations. This is how it looks like. So we have the foundation of threat intelligence. We have all the sensors. As I said, each sensor uses a lot machine learning and AI. And then, of course, everything goes through our engine to our XDR platform that will correlate everything and will help security analysts to actually understand what is the storyline and the workflow of the attack. So now we just talk about detection. Now let's talk about how we leverage AI to respond. So what we do, we collect events coming from customer events, Trellix events, third-party security events. We do some magic, and we help the security analysts. We know that it's not magic, it's our expertise. And now I'm going to show you how the actual XDR that we call Helix Connect looks like. So let's pretend to be the security analyst. I log into the dashboard, and I have three threats. A threat is a correlation of alerts. It means that the platform correlates events coming from a phishing email, endpoint protection, network security, in order to give the analyst an overview of the full chain of the attack. So let's click on the first threat with the higher risk score, where we can actually see the full storyline. So we see the tools. The tools are the sensors that alerted on this threat, the sources, the alert, the asset involved, and of course, all the artifacts. You can see on the right side, we give also a list of the tactics and techniques mapped to my threat attack framework that were actually observed in this attack. We see here the number of events that were collected to make this threat. And out of these 100 events, 25 were actually alerts. So if we expand one of the bubble, the alerts one, for example, you can see a list of all the alerts coming from different sensors, from email, from Okta, for example, from email, and everything was correlated by the platform in the backend using artificial intelligence to actually create a storyline of the attack. So now, let's talk about how the platform will leverage generative AI. So in the backend, the generative AI engine will observe if there is an alert that needs to be, where the risk needs to be raised. So we see here a couple of alerts that were raised to high score automatically by the generative AI engine. If we click on one of them, in the first one, it is actually an alert coming from the EPP, from the endpoint security platform. We see the actual generative AI text that was automatically created by the engine, where the engine is asking itself questions, investigative questions, to actually gather more data from the sensors. So you see here the case was escalated automatically. The events that were analyzed, 26, and then one by one, we see the actual investigative questions that were asked to collect more data from the sensors. You see here many questions like that usually a security analyst would ask themselves to investigate on a threat. And then, of course, the generative AI will keep going with the story. It starts to create the actual story of the attack. We see that it's actually telling in a human language, so even a not technical person can go through this text to analyze what is actually happening in this threat. We see multiple EDR events coming. We see actually a brief summary of what happened. And we start to give automatically recommendation. So recommendation to remediate can be many, but the generative AI engine on the back end is actually highlighting the most important one. And then we finish with the recommended action. For example, isolate the host or search for indicators. So it means that the generative AI engine is recommended actions to the analyst for the next step. So these steps can be run in the actual EDR console. So now we are moving to the investigation on the endpoint side. You see here the actual alert that we saw in the XDR console, but we get more information here. We see a list of all processes that were created by this malicious, well, let's say suspicious file, Firefox.exe. So here the analyst can say, okay, what is the next step? What am I gonna do now? we help the security analyst, let's say the security analyst level 1, to actually decide what is the next step. We start the investigation, and automatically the platform using AI will start to create questions automatically based on the key artifacts collected from the endpoint. So you can recognize some of the questions that a security analyst would ask themselves to actually keep the investigation going. And from here, she can decide, okay, what is the next step? Am I gonna isolate the system, or I need actually to escalate this case to a security analyst level 2 or level 3 because I don't know, I don't understand if it is actually an alert or a false positive. And of course, from here, the investigation goes on based on what the security analyst is taking into consideration from the actual question and answer that we provide. Conclusions. So based on the first part of the presentation, we saw from the cyber threat report that actually malicious actors are leveraging already AI, because we know that the the generative AI applications are open to everybody, so everybody can use. They can even use the AI tools to public change the opinion, for example. So there is a big risk using, in a negative way, AI. But of course, if we use it as a defender in our platform, we can leverage the AI, we can help the security analyst to speed up the investigation, to reduce the mean time to investigate, and of course, to remediate. Thank you.